Welcome to another edition of Canada All Stars. We're back again, and I'm delighted we've got Andy Austen from Wexas Travel with us today. Hey Andy, how are you?
Hello. I'm very well. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. It's great to have you with us. Wexas has a great sort of four-season offering to Canada, and obviously Wexas works very much with travel agents. So it's great to get Andy on to pick his brain and get some insight from him. So we'll dive straight in with our questions. And the first one up now is, what's your story with Canada?
Well, my story with Canada, well, it goes back a long way. I've got a strong family connection with Canada. A large part of my family moved out to Manitoba over 100 years ago, so I've got a good connection there. But in terms of myself, I've worked with Canada in the industry for over 20 years, starting off as a seller, a tailor-made seller, working with schools groups, taking ski trips out to Quebec and the ski fields there. And then over time, a bit more selling, and then into the products management area of things, where I've been managing the Wexas portfolio for almost 5 years now.
Great. So some good experience there.
Yeah, absolutely. And
I didn't know you were a skier, actually.
Sorry?
I didn't know you were a skier.
I do a little bit of skiing, yeah. But my first trip to Canada was actually to British Columbia about 20 years ago, and it was a good one to start. So it was combining Vancouver with Victoria and Calgary, and a bit of Rocky Mountaineer. So it was a good little trip to start with.
That's always a good one. That was one of my first ones as well. Yeah. So cool. So what's kind of we know like wildlife is a big sort of seller for Canada, and there's some great sort of wildlife experiences you had. What's the most incredible one you've had? What would you recommend to clients, or what's been your best experiences?
Oh, there's many that I've experienced. There's many I still like to experience. I've been lucky enough to see bears. I've been lucky enough to go out on various different whale watching experiences and that sort of thing. But you can see a lot of other wildlife close up and personal in Canada that you can't necessarily see in other parts of the world. I was lucky enough a couple of years ago to be in Newfoundland, and we took a boat trip out, and it coincided with the homecoming of the Puffins, the Atlantic Puffins, and they were all flying into their nesting grounds just at the point that we were out on the boat trip, and that was an amazing scene. They were swimming through the sea, racing the boat. They were flying into their nesting grounds, and that was a great sight. And also at the same time, it combined with seeing some bald eagles as well. And bald eagles are one of my favorite birds, and there were bald eagles nesting in the trees above the puffin nesting grounds.
Wow, double bubble.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, that sounds a cool one.
I guess the one of the big ones on the list are to go up to Churchill and see the polar bears. That's one of my top 10 still to experience and get to see. That would be an unforgettable experience, I think.
Yeah. No, I was lucky enough to go up actually a few years ago, and went up in the summer and saw them, and yeah, it's phenomenal. And then you get to see the beluga whales as well there, which a lot of whale sightings in Canada, they can never guarantee it, but actually up there's like 57,000, so you're pretty guaranteed to see the belugas. There's so many of them, and yeah, they're very inquisitive, quite cute actually. Whales, they're amazing. So
and they swim along the ice floe, don't they?
Yeah. So and you can actually go out. We went out kayaking with them, which was amazing, and you can do. They've changed it now actually, but you used to be able to do snorkeling, and they've changed it. There's another interaction where you can get quite close to them. So yeah, I mean, you get that as well as the bears, and then you also get the kind of the wildflowers as well. So yeah, no, we'll have to get you up there.
Really?
So we're I mean, I'm a big fan of road trips, and I think self-drive for me, whether you're in a camper van or a hire car, is a great way to see Canada. What's been your best road trip and why?
Well, probably up until last year, one of my favourite drives in Canada is the Sea to Sky Highway from Vancouver up to Whistler. hugging the coastline, amazing scenery, meandering all the way up with viewpoints everywhere. And then last year I was lucky enough to travel up to the Yukon, and I drove the 6.5-hour drive from Whitehorse to Dawson City on the Klondike Highway, just as the trees were changing colour. So in the Yukon, the trees tend to change in about a week, and I was there for that week, and they were changing to their amazing golden yellow as we drove up the Klondike Highway. A bit of a challenging drive, not a lot of stops, but a lot of beautiful viewpoints to take great photos and that sort of thing. But you very much have to plan where you're going to stop, where you're going to get your refreshments. But it's a nice little challenge in that way. The odd bits of unsealed road also catches you out every now and again for the European driver who likes to very much get used to the European style of road. It's very different to that, but it's a great drive and combines two of the northern Canada's greatest little points in Whitehorse and Dawson City.
Great. Yeah, no, I've not got up there yet, so I'm keen to experience the delights of the Yukon. There's been a lot of love for the Yukon on the All Stars series, actually. So, yeah, I'm due a trip. So cool. Yeah. So
there
what?
Was also. I'm sorry. I was just going to say there was also, when we were up there, was we were driven out on the Dempster Highway, which is another tricky drive, and one that I'm pleased I didn't have to drive because the roads are very, very challenging. But we were taken off on a stretch of the Dempster Highway into Tombstone Territorial Park, and again, one of the most stunning drives you're ever going to experience.
Great. Yeah. Well, no, that sounds awesome. So what about food? I think food's big on people when they tell you about their holidays. Food comes in there somewhere. So, what's been your favourite meal or some good foodie experiences you can recommend?
Oh, well, I do like my food, but I think in Canada the quality of food is so high, from street food up to Michelin star dining, that you can't really go wrong. And some of the greatest experiences are actually the local experiences in the city markets and that sort of thing. Like one of my greatest discoveries, I guess, was when I was in New Brunswick, and I was in St John, and we were in the city market there, and I was introduced to a DLT. So substituting out the bacon with some local seaweed, but the taste was absolutely awesome. And also, at the time I was there as well, I was introduced to fiddleheads, which are an edible fern.
Yeah.
Similar, I would say similar in taste to asparagus, that sort of thing, but a great little sort of taste sensation to put with the local food you get there. But Atlantic Canada is certainly my foodie heaven, where the seafood and especially the lobster is absolutely amazing. And whether you're in Moncton in New Brunswick in one of the lobster restaurants there, having it fully dressed and fully presented, or whether you're waiting in Shediac for the lobster straight off the boat for a fresh lobster roll, that's my idea of heaven.
Good stuff. Yeah. No, the lobster's pretty amazing, and yeah, you can it's good value as well, because obviously when you have it in the UK and you go out and you're like, how much? And over there it's very reasonable. So yeah, it's kind on the wallet as well. Great, cool. So what about you must have some hidden gems, some little off the beaten path little recommendations?
Yeah, again, I'm very much an Atlantic Canada fan. I like to experience Canada with a little bit of a Celtic twist, maybe, but I do like Newfoundland. I would certainly recommend spending time there, even if you are based in St Johns and traveling Mountaineer, or whether you are traveling further north up to Grossmoor National Park, I would say that was an absolute no-brainer. It's the equivalent of a lot of, or better than a lot of the national parks that you'll see in New Zealand and the States. And people, the amount of people actually doing the walking trails up there and experiencing the boat trips are very low numbers compared with comparable destinations.
Yeah, no, I got up to Grossmoor and it was a pretty wild day actually, but we had a fab time and getting out on the boat and going up into the fjord. And yeah, we didn't have time because there's some pretty epic hikes you can do up to the top, I think. And we didn't have time.
But the boat trips out through the sound are just stunning as well. You can be caught out, as you said, by the weather. You can get snow in June up there. It's quite possible, but it adds to the atmosphere.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, no, we had a fab time, and yeah, and you come back and warm yourself up with a lobster roll. Cool, that's a good one. So finishing up now, what, you know, how does Canada make you feel? What you know, if you were telling someone about Canada, and how would you sell it to them?
Well, Canada is such an amazing country that I think every time you experience it and leave it, it leaves you wanting more. I would say, not underestimating, you could do 50 different trips to Canada and not have any kind of overlap at all, whether you wanted a little bit of city, scenery, wildlife, Celtic history, First Nations history. There is something for everyone there. The provinces are so large. There's opportunities to really concentrate great little tailor-made holidays in multiple places and never have any kind of overlap. People are very time constrained these days, so it's not a long flight, so it makes it more accessible now to be able to experience smaller areas in a shorter period of time. And that's why it's a great country for everyone, because if you've got time, you can explore to your heart's delight. If you've got a short period of time, you can very much fly in and focus on a smaller area. But whether it's food, whether it's wine, whether it's wildlife, it really has something for everyone. And when you're on that flight back to the UK, you will certainly want to be turning around and going back on your next adventure.
Yeah, well, no, that's a good point, and I always say that to agents selling as well. Is, you know, if you get someone to Canada once, you've got a repeat client, because they'll definitely want to go back. If they go west, they want to go east, and vice versa. And yeah, I think particularly in the world we live in now, where, I don't know, I feel the world's got a bit smaller for places to go in a way that people want to go, and Canada's a great option, and you can keep going back and have different experiences year round. So
yeah, it's seen as a very safe destination, and certainly from what I've seen, you feel very, very safe there. People are lovely, and everything's lovely. Yeah,
I'd agree with you there. Yeah, no, definitely. Cool, Andy. Well, it's been brilliant. Thanks so much for coming on today.
No problem.
And some really good advice there. And it's interesting. I think New Brunswick and Yukon keeps coming up on this. So, like, people will have to take note and try and get your clients out there. So, but thanks for coming on today. And we'll be back again soon for some more Canada All Stars.